Hi everybody. Hello, how are you? Welcome to the ABOO group, ABOO, a book of one's own. And it's Friday, so it's our Friday lunchtime learning session. I hope you've all had a really good week and you're just ready to learn some really interesting and insightful stuff. Well, I have Sophie Milliken here today. Sophie, welcome. It's lovely to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
It's lovely to have you. So Sophie's the founder and CEO at the Moja Group, who Moja works with entrepreneurs and senior executives to amplify their personal profiles and become known authorities in their industries. And Sophie is the author of 2 books. Her first book was From Learner to Earner, and the second book, her most recent book, is The Ambition Accelerator, which was shortlisted in the Business Book Awards recently. So Sophie, you have got some slides to share with us, which is great. So please go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks, Lucy. So I'm Sophie. I'm going to be talking about both of the books, and I'm actually writing a third book as well. I've just started it, so I've sketched that out. I've written the introduction, and I'm raring to go once I get back from my holiday that's coming up very soon. I'm really excited to be doing that. But today I want to share with everybody some of the things that I've learned from writing those 2 books around how I've leveraged them to get known and to make the most from the books. And hopefully there'll be a few hints and tips that people can use for their own books. So if you don't already know me, I'm Sophie. Lucy did a bit of an intro to me there. We've got on the screen there my various links for the platforms that I'm on. So if we're not already connected, then I would love to be connected with you. Before I set up Moja's quite new, so we only set that up we launched in March this year. So just a tiny bit of background, so there's a bit more context to what I'm going to share today. As Lucy said, we work to raise the professional profile of our clients, so very much around personal branding, the wider sense of your profile not being just about who you are at work, and it's creating that impact throughout your industry and beyond. So we do a lot of stuff around professional development that helps us to find the opportunities that are going to benefit you most. So things around awards, podcasts, etc. All of these things work together in a really strong ecosystem to help you to stand out, be heard, and get known. So let's get stuck in. So you can see on the screen there some of the things that I'm going to be talking about this lunchtime. So I want to talk about leveraging your book to get known in your industry and beyond, using awards to position yourself as an expert in your fields, getting media and press coverage to amplify your message, and sharing your story through speaking engagements. So you can see there on the screen my 2 books that Lucy mentioned earlier. So I've certainly been there on that journey of writing, publishing and promoting my book twice so far. And as I said, I am currently writing the 3rd book. So my first book was From Learner to Earner, which you can see there on the screen, and is a recruitment insider's guide for students wanting to achieve graduate job success. So this book was written while I was in my previous business, which was a graduate recruitment and employability consultancy. And that book was perfect for that time. And I worked with Lucy on that book and with my second book as well, with Rethink. And I wanted to write that book for students to help them get a graduate job, because that was the bulk of the work that we were doing, was contributing to help students and graduates secure jobs. So that was a really interesting time writing that book, because I remember really clearly having a conversation with Lucy saying that I really wanted to get that book out in September of that particular year, because that's a key time when students and graduates are applying for jobs. And at this point, it was in May, I believe. And Lucy said to me, right, well, you've got 3 weeks to get your manuscript to us.
Yeah, it was a big ask.
That process. And I remember thinking, oh my God, how am I going to do that? But it was a good time, because it was a time of year where I could clear my diary or most of it and just knuckle down and do that. And also because it was something that I was so experienced in and had so much previous material, I guess it was quite easy to be able to structure that in a way that made it easy to write. So I did meet that deadline, and it did come out in the September. And that was a really, really interesting time because it was 2019, September 2019. So what, five months-ish before the pandemic. And I was able to really maximize the publication date of that in the sense that I could have physical events because it was before all these restrictions. So I'm based in Newcastle and a lot of my audience was down in London. So we did a book launch in Newcastle and a book launch in London. We invited all of our clients, friends, prospects along to that. We had great speakers at both of those events. We had lots of fun with gimmicky type things. We had lovely goodie bags with the books. We had cupcakes with the book covers on these cupcakes, and we had social media things so they could take selfies, etc. And it was a really good way to launch that book. It was just so much fun. I really have such fun memories of that. And we actually created a video from both of those events, which somewhere on YouTube. In fact, it might be on my Amazon author page as well. And it was brilliant because it was really professionally done. And it was a really great snapshot of both of those events. And what that book launch did was generate, it facilitated conversations, interesting conversations that led to other things. So, for example, off the back of the London book launch, I was offered a column in a careers magazine, which was perfect because that was where all my ideal clients at that time were hanging out. So that was brilliant to have that. I also got offered the opportunity to do a TEDx talk. In fact, I got 2 offers to do TEDx talks. Now, at that point in time, I didn't know a lot about TEDx talks, and I didn't realize that you have to normally apply to be able to do one. So I now look back and think it was really fortunate that I was offered not 1, but 2. And I just took the first one, not thinking anything of it, and said, yes, I'll do that. And it felt like it was ages away because it was in the March 2020. And it felt like, it was 7 months away or something at that point. So I thought, yeah, I'll say yes and figure out later how to do it. And I did that literally the week or 2 weeks before the first lockdown. So I feel fortunate that I got to do that in person to an audience. But everything obviously changed a lot since that. But that was brilliant to get all of those opportunities just off the back of the book launch and the book. And it really got me thinking about how can I use the book to do things and to amplify everything that I've got to share. The second book, The Ambition Accelerator, which is the working woman's guide to powering up your professional success, that was really different for me compared to the first one. So I wrote that actually off the back of doing that TEDx talk, because my TEDx talk, which you can find if you just pop my name into Google, you'll find it on YouTube. It's called The Truth Behind the Show Reel. And it was not what I wanted to do as a TEDx talk topic. I actually wanted to do one linked to employability. And when I went to have the first meeting as part of the TEDx talk process, the lady that was hosting that said, she said to me, I really want you to talk about your story and where you get your grit from and all these sorts of things. And I was quite horrified actually at the time, because it wasn't a time where I used to share that much about my journey or any things that were particularly personal. And she was convinced that this would make a great talk. And I went away and thought about it and decided to go for it. And I think where the Ambition Accelerator came from was a bit of an extension of the TEDx talk, because obviously that talk's a limited amount of time and there was so much more that I had to say. So that became the second book. I wrote that during the first lockdown. It took me a lot longer than 3 weeks to write because it was totally new content and I was pulling all of that together. And it was a really weird time because I was living on my own with my daughter in lockdown, hardly, not seeing anybody obviously at that point, and waking up at 4 a.m. because I was really worried about my business at that point and wondering if we were going to make it, etc. So this was a really good distraction for me to get all of this down. Another way that I made the most out of this opportunity was because we were in lockdown, I was thinking really creatively about how I could get other people's input into this book. So I approached some businesswomen that I admire, some of them that I know fairly well, some of them I didn't know at all and got introductions to be a part of this book. And what I did was I interviewed them all on Zoom. They were all available, which was great because everyone was at home. I interviewed them for maybe 40 minutes or so. And I included their stories, their advice, their guidance in the various themes within the book. And I then was quite creative with the content of the Zooms because I turned it into a podcast. So you'll be able to find the podcast, The Ambition Accelerator, on all the places that you get podcasts as well. So it was a really great way of getting in front of, getting time with women and maximizing that time with these normally very busy women, because I was able to say, right, for that 40 minutes, I'm going to create a podcast episode and include you within the book. And the advantage of including them in the book not only was the fact that they gave me some great stories, which made the book far more interesting and gave it a huge amount of diversity in terms of the different industries that these women worked in. But when the book came out, I was able to create graphics for them where they could then share the book on all of their platforms. And, some of them have got huge audiences. So I've got Sarah Davies from Dragon's Den and Strictly, she was in that book, and she's got a massive audience. She's got an even bigger audience now from doing Strictly, but even then it was a good size.
That was a very good choice of interview.
Yeah, it was a good one. And actually I think her podcast is one of the ones that's been downloaded the most as well, and there's some really good content in there. So actually, if you want a bit of a pick me up at some point, I would recommend going and listen to those. So yeah, that was brilliant to be able to create the podcast from that. And also it very much developed my relationships with these women that I really admired. Like I say, I knew some of them, but not all of them, and not all of them particularly well. And I was also just, I'm a big fan of being bold and approaching people and taking opportunities and things. And so one of the women that's in the book was Linda Plant, who is known as the Queen of Mean from The Apprentice, who does the interviews. And she had actually randomly just started following me on Twitter around the time that I was just finishing the book off, and I thought, you know what, she'll be really good in this book. So I just messaged her, just totally off the bat, saying, I saw you followed me, great. I'm actually finishing off this book, I'd love to interview you for it and include your stories. And she replied straight away and said, I'll do it if I can ask you about some things. I thought, this sounds a bit weird. Yeah, I thought, what the heck does she want to ask me about? Anyway, we end up having this Zoom. She asks me all her questions first. So I was worried we were going to run out of time and not be able to record the podcast. We did manage to do both. And she'd wanted to pick my brains because she was launching an online business academy. And I don't know whether it is that I'm a bit younger than her and she thought I might be a bit more tech savvy or something, but we ended up having a really, really good conversation. And we've actually partnered on a few joint ventures since then, and we're representing her at Moja for all of her speaking engagements now.
Oh, brilliant.
So that really developed what has become actually quite a nice friendship, to be honest. And she's given me lots of really good advice. And, like I say, we're working on a few projects together at the moment. So really interesting, just being really open-minded about the opportunities that writing the books can create and what they can lead to. So that's been really
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, as Debbie says in the comments here, book magic, it's what I always call book magic. It's kind of the unexpected ones, isn't it? She followed you, she wanted to ask you some questions. It's kind of comes out of the blue, but it turns into some sort of something wonderful.
It was so random. And it also, the ones that I did know, so I knew Sarah a bit at that point, but that strengthened that relationship as well, because it was, good quality fun that we had. It then made it easier for me to get in touch with her about other things, and then that's grown as well. So it's just being open to things and going for it. So there are so many benefits, you probably don't need me to tell you this, that come with writing the book, but some of them perhaps maybe you haven't always considered. So when you've written a book, it's very much about establishing yourself as a voice of authority and becoming a published thought leader. It's time, you can increase the value of the book by making the most of those opportunities that are coming with it. So, it's creating a marketing tool to drive those sales inquiries, so those inbound sales inquiries, so being really clever about how you do that. It's adding power to your bio with the opportunity to become a bestseller and an award winner, so that's very much linked to that, and opening up further opportunities, so speaking engagements and for podcasts as well. It was really interesting, and I might be jumping ahead with my slides here, but with the first book, when that came out, it was around a time where we were entering lots of awards as a business, for me as the leader of that business, but also for the business in general. And there was a really powerful moment where I used the book really well with one of these awards. So I'd won the regional finals of this Female Entrepreneur of the Year award, and then they invited all of the regional finalists to a judging day, a national judging day for all of those regions together, to decide who the overall winner was. They were doing like a national event for it. And I thought about what I could bring to that, and I thought, I'll bring them all a book. I'll bring them a book, because it was, that was very much included in the entry. And I went in, and it was a panel, there was 4 of them, I think, in this room. No, there was 3 of them. And one of them was really quite scary, if I'm honest. He was really intimidating. He asked me loads of questions about the numbers, which I knew, and things like that. And then when I was able to speak a bit more, rather than him sort of firing questions at me, I was telling them about the book and about how special that had been writing it, and how useful it had been having those launch events that I was talking about, and what conversations they'd led to. And I could just see him sort of softening as I was talking about that. And then I had the books in my bag, and I pulled them all out, and I said, oh, I've brought a copy for you all. I'm sure you'll know a student that you can pass this on to that would find it useful. So I was able to leave them with that. And Lucy, you'll have heard Daniel Priestley talking a lot about a book being the best business card that you can ever have, and that always rings true in my head. And it absolutely was, because I was pretty confident that none of the other finalists would have been able to leave a book for the judges, and I don't think they did. And I left there just thinking, oh, I've really warmed them up here, and they like that. Everyone likes to get a bit of a freebie, so that worked really well. And I had a good feeling when I left that, and sure enough, when it came to the national finals, I did win that award, which was fab. Brilliant. I might be jumping ahead there, because I do want to talk about awards in a bit more detail, and hopefully that's a good example with it. So let me tell you a bit more about that. So I think it is very much a powerful tool to help you to become an award winner. I think by including your book in your award entry, you can impress the judges. It is going to stand out more from other submissions, and it adds authority and evidence to what you're writing. If you make a claim that you're a thought leader in your industry, then being a published author is definitely going to back this up. In this community in particular, we are all authors or about to become authors, so it feels quite normal. But actually, if you go back out into the real world,
yeah, that's so true.
It really isn't. So it really does. So it's really important. And being an author, it serves to establish your individual voice, shows you've got something to say, you're an expert on the subject that you've written about, and this is a great way to position your book in an award entry. Your publisher hopefully will be able to share any sales figures and downloads with you. So again, this is great evidence to include to show how wide of an audience that you are influencing with your book. And that's certainly something that we've been doing when we've been putting award entries forward as well. So it's worth just trying to track things like sales, things like great testimonials that you're getting, whether it be for the book or whether it be reviews that you get on Amazon or something. So maybe just try and start creating a bit of a folder for those sorts of things, and then when it comes to applying for an award, you're going to have all of that information to hand. So
yeah, that's a really good idea, to keep a package going of all the responses to the book. It's
yeah, we've become a lot more savvy on things like that. So it's definitely something I would recommend doing, because it just saves time when it comes to doing it. So what's the point in awards? I'm a big fan of entering awards, and some people think that they're not, they're not worth it, but in my opinion, they really absolutely are. And you choose them carefully, and you choose ones that have great judges, and you can see it's a very clear and transparent process, and it's not you just pay for a table and you get an award type thing, because there are a few of those, but there are some amazing awards out there as well. And I've found that whenever I've even been shortlisted for an award, and certainly when I've won them, when I talk about that on the likes of LinkedIn or other social media, people love it. People absolutely love it. They want to support you, they want to encourage you, and it's a really nice thing to sort of be there with your certificate or whatever and be able to shout about it. So they are absolutely a powerful tool to help you to grow your profile, to make industry connections. I've always had really great conversations with people at award ceremonies. They're a great way to reward your team. You can bring them along to the to the awards dues. You just get chatting to interesting people, whether it's the other people that have been shortlisted or their guests or whatever. So it's definitely worth doing. And it does all the stuff that you can see there on the screen. So it's helping to position yourself as that expert, adding value to professional profile. So award winning certainly adds power to your bio. They validate you and your business to draw your customers in. You can make those industry connections through the awards communities. And there are some awards that are really, really good at building their own community where you're going to get a lifelong benefit from. So a couple that spring to mind for me that I think would be relevant to this audience. We've got the Best Business Women Awards, who have tons of different categories within their awards. And they have like a winners club where people from previous years that have won get invited along to, well, they've had to put it on pause for the last couple of years, but I believe they're bringing it back. So they'll do an awards get together, I think once or twice a year, and it'll be all the previous award winners. I've made some excellent friendships through that group, so that's been brilliant. The Great British Entrepreneur Awards, which I'm an ambassador for and a judge for, and they are closing, I think, in about a month's time, so they're open for award entries at the moment. That community, phenomenal. I won Northeast Entrepreneur of the Year about 2 years ago, I think it was now. So I get invited to loads of things through them, and they've invited me onto a task force with Vodafone Business. So I had to sign an influencer contract for Vodafone, which made me chuckle.
Wow.
It was really funny. It was only a page long, but it was just things that I can and can't do. So I contribute content to that small business community. Through that, I got invited to collaborate with Elite Business. So I spoke on a panel event with Laura Morgan, who's an author and a very successful entrepreneur, Piers Linney from Dragon's Den. So the three of us, and there was another guy on the panel as well. So that was brilliant because I got great time with them. I then got invited to do a column for Elite Business. I've just done my first one, and I've got a year's contract doing a monthly column with them. So just all these things, they just all have this knock-on effect. So it absolutely works. And awards, you know, they make a great story, perfect opportunity for you to pitch your story to the press. It's getting the badge to prove that success, and as I said before, celebrating it with your network. And when you win an award, you do get a sort of a digital badge that you could put onto your email signatures. You could put them on your website, your social media, etc. So once you've got those, they usually have the year that you've won them in, so you can absolutely make the most of those.
Fantastic. Michaela just asks, are there some unscrupulous ones, and do you have any tips or red flags for avoiding those?
That's a great question. There are, and I think that's why awards have had a little bit of bad press in some circles, and people perhaps are a bit cynical. I think the ones that I think are dodgy are ones that you have to pay a lot of money to enter. I think where it's a small fee, where it's quite clearly a bit of an admin fee to cover their costs, that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. It's ones where you have to pay a big fee to enter, and or you have to commit to buying a full table at the awards and awards dues as well. For me, they would be the red flags. That's too much. I think that they would be the things for me. And then sometimes you get, I don't know whether anyone else has experienced this, but sometimes we get emails through to the office basically just telling us that we've won an award that we haven't entered or known that we've been nominated for, but that we should be paying $2,000 to get the trophy or be in a magazine or something. And they're like, and they're just, you look into them and they've got really shoddy websites, and there's just no credibility whatsoever behind those. So there's a few of those. There's clearly a bit of a money-making scam around those sorts of things. But I think, you know, awards where you know people who've won them, you can reach out to them and ask about their experience. Ones that have got proper websites, proper processes, show you who the judges are, where you can see that there's, you know, some independence and some transparency around all of that, where you don't have to buy a table to go. I think they're all really good and worth looking into for sure. So yeah.
Great. No, thanks for that.
Yeah, okay, so let's move on to talk about getting media and press coverage, which is going to amplify your message around your book as well. So this is a great area to grow your profile in terms of media and press. So how can your book be a way in with the media and press? Well, you can approach local news outlets or self-publishing platforms within those outlets to get the word out that you've published a book. You can prepare a press release with all of the key information about your book, including things like the publication dates, where you can buy it, any special offers or events. You can organise a launch party like I suggested earlier, and you can invite industry leaders and invite press contacts again to that, which is going to help you to gain some coverage. Adding your book and author status to your media kit or your media teaser, so you can create one which includes this if you don't already have one. I think it looks really powerful having that book image on your media kit if you've got one of those. And if you haven't got one and you don't know what I'm talking about, it's quite simply a one-pager which you might want to send alongside a press release or use it as a bit of a pitch. So you would have a bit of about me information on a short bio, your photo, you might have your book pictures, any awards, you might have things like that on as well. So yeah, those things.
That's brilliant. With the press release, Sophie, I mean, I tend to find publishing lots of books, not just my own, is that it's better not to send a press release that says that basically the heading is author writes new book and then talks all about your book. It's kind of about being clever and finding something that's current, or, you know, that your book refers to, or some bit of research that's or a name. I mean, you know, you could feature names from your book. Do you think there's a sort of a good way of writing a press release about a book?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's asking that so what question, isn't it? And it's making it interesting so that they're going to want to pick it up. So yes, if you've got someone interesting that's been involved in it, or a stat, or you can link it to whatever is happening in the news. If it is just standard with basic information, it's probably you're probably only going to get it covered where you can publish it yourself on a news outlet, so it's not going to get as much attention. So yeah, it's been a bit creative, and if you haven't got that kind of creativity or those sorts of skills, you know, you could get, if you've got someone that does your PR, they could write that with more of a hook, or just ask someone that's great at marketing and they might even just come up with a headline for you or something that's just going to be a bit more inspiring. It's also worth, if you haven't already, trying to sort of build relationships with people in the media, even just at a local level initially, because once you get those good relationships with them, they'll publish it for you anyway because they'll like you. So it's worth doing that. And even getting press locally gives really great SEO results. So we have in Newcastle maybe 3 or 4 business magazines, and one of them, the first time I was in one of them was maybe 2016 or 17, and it's still one of the highest things that comes up when you Google my name. And I've got maybe 5-6 pages worth of stuff on Google now. So really interesting, actually, some of the reach that you get. And actually, once you get that local press coverage, it's easier to use that to leverage to get stuff that's maybe a bit more wider reaching in terms of national as well. But yeah, it's worth doing. So you know, I probably don't need to harp on too much about the benefits of being in print and online media, because it should be quite obvious, but it very much helps people to find you. They're going to be impressed to see your name in print. Those SEO benefits are going to bring more business and general opportunities your way as well. So getting your story out there and getting featured, lots of things are going to happen. So your name's going to be out there, so the brand awareness grows alongside that. Again, it's just helping to position you as that industry expert, increasing your credibility and authority. It's going to generate conversations. People will see these things and hopefully chat to you about them. And it's going to increase your exposure, which means reaching a whole new audience of potential clients as well. So that recognition in the media and press, it gives you a chance to lead by example, to reach out to others, give your business and employees new opportunities as well. So it is a way of getting people talking, and getting people talking raises your profile and helps to get you known. So all of these things will work really well together. So moving on now to talk about speaking engagements, which was the other way that I was saying you can leverage your book.
Absolutely.
So some people may not want to do this if you're shy. Not everyone's outgoing and wanting to get your voice out there, but It is a great way of amplifying your message for sure. You can use your book as a way to build your profile as a speaker, if that's something that you want to do, and to secure those speaking engagements. So there's lots of different ideas that you can see there. So you can craft speaking topics that are linked to your book. We're a big fan at Moja of creating a personal website. So what I mean by that is literally a website in your own name, which you might well have done already to promote your book, but you can absolutely use that to leverage speaking engagements as well, and have a page on there around speaking engagements. You can take copies of your book to those speaking engagements. You can send that book out to clients or prospects that are thinking about booking you. I now, when I do a speaking gig that's a paid speaking gig, I usually try, it depends what the audience is, but I usually try and package up one of my books in as part of the fee and say, right, this is the fee and it includes 200 books or whatever. And they quite like that, actually. So that is great. And obviously you can usually buy in bulk your book from your publisher as well, so and get that at a discount. So then the extra value to them, if it's costing you maybe £4 to get it and your book's £12 or something, you can package that up in a really nice, neat way. So very much those final points there, just around sort of using your network, and also it's not just speaking engagements of being on a big stage in front of lots of people. Podcasts are a way of speaking, and perhaps if you are a bit more nervous or less experienced with public speaking and just want to develop your confidence, podcast might be a nice way of easing yourself into it. Quite often they're audio only, even if they are with the video. It's it's usually through Zoom or the like at the moment, so it's less intimidating, I think. So worth doing, and podcasts can get a great reach, and you can share them on social media as well. So
fantastic. And you have your own podcast studio there for your clients, which I think is where you are at the moment, Sophie.
You can see a bit of it there, maybe in the corner there. Yeah, so we've got a podcast studio here, so we're helping people to create their own, and we also can do that remotely as well. We've got some software we can do that remotely as well, just to make sure that the sound's good. So different ways of getting into speaking, and they are a great way of sharing your story and getting known. So in terms of the points there that we've still got, so we've got making a difference. Speaking engagements can help move industries forward to make a difference, which might be something that's really important to you and your purpose, an opportunity to drive change and get people thinking about how they might be able to make positive changes. It's a great way to get known. It's great for PR to be out there speaking and demonstrating your expertise and getting known in your industry. Again, it's going to build that credibility, positioning you as a thought leader, which in turn is going to establish you as a person to be trusted. And if you get speaking engagements at things like conferences, you'll find that the SEO benefits of that are really quite long lasting. So I mentioned that panel talk that I was on for Elite Business. That was ages ago. It was like at the beginning of March. Yet if you were to Google my name today, I think it still comes up as one of the top things on my profile. So that's great in terms of getting that reach. So there must have been a lot of people that were on their website looking at that, so that's great. Fantastic. And then building connections, great way to build connections, connect with your audience. It's much easier to build a relationship with people in real life. So if it's an in-person speaking opportunity, you're also going to get to meet with the other speakers, which could lead to exciting opportunities that you might not have had access to. So going again back to that Elite Business thing, I got chatting to Piers Linney, who knows a friend of mine. So again, there was a bit of a connection there just to chat about that. And then his PA invited me to go onto his podcast. So actually I need to follow that up because I need to follow that up. But so again, another, it's just that snowball effect of creating more opportunities. And then obviously lead generation and referrals. So, getting back down to business, the audience is going to listen to what you have to say as you've established yourself as a thought leader. And that just makes you stand out from the average professional within your field. Clients are then going to think of you more as an expert and the go-to person, leading to those referrals and future lead generation. And it can also help to close deals by inviting prospective clients to see you in action if there's an opportunity to do that. So again, it is just taking all of those.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, it really is. We just had a client in literally just before this because I was saying you're gonna have to go because I'm doing this at lunchtime. And she was talking about she's literally writing her book at the moment and due to publish it in the autumn, and we were talking about all of those different things that she can use to sort of leverage and make the most of that book, because she wants to use the book as a lead generation for her coaching programs, which are quite expensive and one-to-one, but she also wants to turn the book into an online course, which more people will be able to do, and then they will either that will be enough for them and that will suit their budget, or actually it means they want to then go on and work with her one-to-one. But she's very clear that she wants to do 10 one-to-one clients a year and 10 speaking engagements a year as well. So actually there might be a waiting list for that, but all of the, the book and the course are going to create that kind of ecosystem of products for her, but also generate a bit of hype, hopefully, that's then going to create a waiting list for her speaking engagements and for her one-to-one. So yeah, really interesting to sort of see that.
Fantastic. Michaela says, do you have your own podcast, Sophie? I mean, I know you have the Ambition Accelerator podcast.
Yeah, the Ambition Accelerator, it was a bit of an accident, to be fair, because it was me just recording those interviews, and it was only about halfway through them that I thought, oh, this would be really great content. So I think there's 10 or 11 episodes of the Ambition Accelerator. I am actually bringing out another podcast, which actually will probably be of interest to this audience, because I've created a business book club, and we are recording these sessions and turning it into a podcast. So we just did our first book and had the meeting on Tuesday. So we've got the audio for that. So we're going to have the business book podcast. So that will be coming out soon. So it's more just for fun rather than as a lead generation.
Sounds great. So what do you read a book and then discuss it? That's what you...
Correct. That's the content. Yeah. And I'm trying, it worked well with the first one, but I don't know where we'll get to with the other ones, but trying to get the author to pose one of the questions. So having a bit of fun with that at the moment. So yeah, it's we'll keep an eye out for that, because that'll be coming out in the next few weeks, I would say. But yeah, that's been really interesting. So
yeah, absolutely. No, I love the ABOO book club. Well, I don't know if you've ever been on one, Sophie, but we've had some amazing authors. We have fiction and non-fiction authors who come and talk about their books, and we have got Dr. Jessica Taylor coming up next, whose book is called Why Women Get Blamed for Everything, which is a fantastic title and lots of really interesting research behind that.
I bet there'll be some great questions from that. And actually, that you've just sparked a thought there that's another opportunity to leverage your book. So with my first book, we created some book club questions for the first book as a resource that went alongside it. And because it was a book for students and graduates, we kind of pitched it out to universities to say, hey, this is a great resource for employability. If you want to, set it as a book club text, then here's some questions that you can use as a resource. So I got invited to drop into various Zooms with students and things, and because that was my audience at the time, it was brilliant, because I got in front of them in quite a natural and fun way, and it just helped build relationships with our university clients as well. So yeah, it was really good. We also during the lockdown turned that book into a free webinar series, and we had probably about 10,000 students go through that webinar series over lockdown. So it was, again, really powerful. And that was, again, some content that we were able to turn into content for an award entry. So yeah, it's been creative, I think, with all of those opportunities. So I think that brings me to the end of my thoughts and ideas around a bit of a whistle stop tour there around ideas to promote and make the most of your book. I don't know if there's any other burning questions, but
that's absolutely brilliant. I mean, really, such great ideas there, and such kind of imaginative ways of using your book. My only, it's not so much a question as sort of, I think that people often feel that when they write their book, especially if it's their first book, they feel that they've got to write a bestseller, and it's all about selling copies on Amazon or, wherever you can get your book into. But everything you've said kind of backs up what I think is the main reason for writing your book is to build your business and your own profile. And, the copies you sell at retail sale a kind of a bonus rather than the essential part of doing it.
Completely agree, Lucy. That's exactly how I would see it. And I think it's using the book to create and generate opportunities that do lead to sales, but they won't probably be sales of the book. They'll be sales of whatever else you're working on.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, yes. So you do become a bestseller, but not necessarily a best-selling author, but a best-selling business person, or whatever you are. So yes, that's a really good way of putting it, Sophie. Oh, well, Sophie, I know you've been absolutely perfect in your timing for how long you said you wanted to book.
I have got two more slides just in terms of a bit of information. So if
great, wonderful.
If anyone wants to use this this link for this quiz, so we have got it's just a really easy quiz that you can take, free quiz. It's like a profile assessment tool, and it does have some stuff that's linked to the book as well. So if anyone is interested in building their profile more, if they want to take a picture of that and go onto that link, it's a short quiz, literally takes 3 minutes, can do it on any device, and it'll give you a score for different areas of your profile and give you some hints around how you might develop your profile and your personal brand. And then there's just a few links there just for Moja more generally, but like I said at the beginning, if anyone wants to connect with me, more than happy to do that.
That's wonderful. That's great. We'll put all those links in the comments, Sophie, as well, so everybody can just click through. But the scorecard sounds really fun. I love a good quiz.
It is fun. Yeah, it is.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Sophie. That is Sophie Milliken, author of From Learner to Earner and the Ambition Accelerator. And really, I think Debbie's just saying, I'm going to listen to this again and make notes. There's so much here. And so, yeah, that's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, Sophie. And we'll talk again soon, hopefully.
I'm sure. Thanks, Lucy.
Thanks, Sophie. Thanks, everyone. Bye.